Jabroni, Jabroni, Oh, it doesn't matter, you spell jabroni.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Two Jabronis with a Wrestling Podcast. BJ Cruz here with my tag team partner. Happy anniversary, Jay. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Now that we introduced the video side of this thing, I feel like I have to get dressed every time.
I know.
So
me too. Yeah, I shaved, sort of what I have, and then I took a shower. Yeah, it's but this is their only way of going out. You know, this is like that form that we have now. So it's but hey, look, we made it to a year, so we should have shaved and showered. It's a big big episode. It's our 1 year anniversary episode. A year ago, we sluggishly hopped on the mics after WrestleMania 35 after 7 hours of wrestling and recorded
and drinking 7 hours of wrestling and drinking.
Yeah, and drinking a lot of IPAs, and we recorded our first ever episode, and it was phenomenal. And you know, we're here actually. So before let me take care of some housekeeping stuff. We are, of course, brought to you by the Blue Wire Network and our friends over at betonline.ag. And please don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you download your podcasts. And if you're one of our fantastic Apple Podcast users, please give us that 5-star rating. And if you're feeling spicy, and you know, maybe send over some congratulatory happy 1 year reviews. 5 stars only though, or 1 star, whatever you choose.
Yeah, no 2 stars. We don't play with that shit.
No 2 stars.
Make sure you follow us on social at 2 Jabronis Pod on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow us at 2 Jabronis Pod in the BR app as well. Make sure you follow Ben at Cruise Control. That's Control with a K. And you can follow me at Jeremy A. Loss.
And we've been starting to do video podcasts for every episode now. So find us on YouTube. Our YouTube channel, I should say, 2 Jabronis or the Wrestling Podcast, the full thing. Before we get into the main event, Jay, I got a little surprise for you. I didn't tell you about this. I got you a little 1 year anniversary gift. These are on their way to your house. There it is. These are
oh my God! You got me the Ham and Slam?
Yes.
And
yes,
what?
These are on their way. I know you can see it says 40% off, but what can I say?
I don't care, dude. That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
No, of course. So there's that. And I joked a little bit on our last show that was coming. Also, for everyone who's watching the video pod, that is the background of my wife and daughter. All right, I'm stopping the screen share, going back to the show. All right, let's hop into the main event. And for this week's main event, we talked a lot of WrestleMania 36 already. We did 2 shows after each night of WrestleMania this past weekend, and we want to start looking forward. We're bringing on someone to talk about WrestleMania 36 as well after this, but we want to look ahead. So we want to do WrestleMania 37 predictions. This is huge, man. WrestleMania.
It's never too early to do predictions for WrestleMania. Never too early.
Never. We come from Bleacher Report too. It's kind of like in our blood, just in terms of creating content. So WrestleMania 37, obviously going to be held in LA. We assuming everything is fine with the world by then, we will be making that trip to LA. I put that on my wife's calendar, or letting her know that is on our calendar.
When it was announced, I looked over at my wife. I was like, yeah, so I'm going to that. Yeah. I'm going to be gone pretty much all week. So just be ready for that.
we kind of had to be. So anyway, WrestleMania 37. So set up how we're going to talk about this and how we're going to predict it.
So instead of doing the entire card, because obviously predicting the entire card a year out is incredibly difficult. And you never know how many matches and how many nights are actually going to be going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to predict 5 matches. There's no stipulations in terms of you have to predict a certain amount of title matches or anything like that. It's just 5 matches that you believe are going to happen at WrestleMania.
I also sprinkled in stuff I want to see, by the way.
Okay.
That's part of it. But I try to make it as realistic as possible. So
same.
Why don't you go first? You bat lead off here.
So in my predictions, I did predict the main event. This seems fairly obvious considering where it's taking place.
Sure.
And I have a strange feeling you have the same prediction. Main event is Roman Reigns versus The Rock.
Okay, so yeah, I do have that. However, mine has a wrinkle.
Ooh,
so
tell me the wrinkle.
This was also one of my predictions, but I'm thinking since it's WrestleMania 37, it's in LA. It's in the brand new, who's it? The Chargers Stadium?
Rams, SoFi Stadium.
Oh, right, the shared stadium. It's a great idea. I'm predicting The Rock versus Roman Reigns versus John Cena in a triple threat match for the title. Can you imagine, like,
for the title?
For the title, baby. The title.
Which title?
Where's Roman? He's on SmackDown, so I guess that's the World Heavyweight title. So yeah,
Universal.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God. Yeah, the Universal title. It's been so long since
for
Roman's
the title.
Yeah, I like that. That screams. Who's not watching that match? Like that. That brings in all of Hollywood, right? You have Rock and Cena, who are in like Fast and
That's a Fast and the Furious match,
right? The Fast and the Furious 9 got pushed back to next year. Obviously, The Rock has a little bit of a controversial relationship right now with Vin Diesel, but Cena is in that movie as Vin Diesel's brother.
Yeah,
because they look very much alike. And then Roman, who kind of got his moment, unfortunately taken away from him. This is assuming health. Like, who is not watching this match? I don't care.
Oh, I'm into it. It's just like, that's crazy. Now, here's another wrinkle.
Okay.
Do John Cena and The Rock wrestle as their Fast and Furious characters? Vin Diesel is a special guest referee.
Special guest ref.
Because they're all technically in the Fast and Furious franchise. Roman was in Hobbs and Shaw.
He is. That is correct. How about this? Let's change this up. Fatal 4-way. Throw Vin into the match.
Oh, Jesus. Vin's gonna like full on like think it's a shoot and try to fight somebody.
Yeah, he's gonna bring a Corona bottle as a weapon.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yes for Cena, because it could be explained like he lost his mind after the Firefly Funhouse match.
And he thinks he's Dom's brother in real life. He thinks
he's Dom's brother. I think you have to keep The Rock, because that is his pull. And you can't, like, as famous as Hobbs is, The Rock is exponentially more famous. So that's what I want to see. So
okay, so that's one of your predictions?
That is one of my predictions.
Okay, so why don't you go to number 2?
The second one I have written down is Drew McIntyre. I think he's gonna have a really long run here as champion. Versus, and this is assuming he's still wrestling, Daniel Bryan.
Oh man, that's a good match too.
Yeah, it'd be a fire match. Obviously, a little big man, little man.
Good.
But I think that they could put on a magical match. They could do some amazing things together. I think eventually, like, Drew has to become a heel champion, because like this whole babyface run that he's been on has been fantastic. But
he's so much better as a heel.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he was really, really good. So, and like if he's gonna have an extended run, like him having an extended run as a face champion it's just gonna turn him into Seth Rollins, right? Like, people are gonna sour on him quickly, and he does have a very good heel persona. So I think tapping into that with Bryan kind of in there to work with him would be phenomenal. That is my pick.
I like that.
Number 2.
I like that a lot, because Daniel Bryan actually does really good work with big guys. Like, he did excellent work with Brock Lesnar. Like, he's done great work with big guys. So I'm into that. This one, my next prediction, my second match, actually kind of riffs off of this past weekend and what we all really loved, which was the Boneyard match.
Okay.
I have Taker versus Sting in a Boneyard match.
Oh my God.
Pre-taped, do the same style. I actually saw Bubba Ray Dudley say this over the weekend. I think he was on. I think it was on the Bump. He said, like, the only way the Boneyard match would have been better is if when Taker raised his fist and you see the pyro and you see the Taker symbol, Sting was on the roof with a bat, and I would have been like, "Holy shit, that sounds awesome!"
Yeah, the internet would have burned down. Oh wow. So okay, I want to take your idea. I love it. But do they alter the location? Because it's like the Boneyard thing's been done technically. So could they make it, I don't know, something that kind of meets them in the middle? Sting I don't know, kind of leaning into Crow Sting.
Yeah, I mean, you can change locations. You can have it in some like random ass warehouse. You can do something cool. I just think they need to like. I know a lot of people are running with the idea that this was Taker's last match and him riding off was kind of the symbol of him just giving it up now.
Right.
And what a way to go out if it is the way to go out. Like
phenomenal.
But like, I think I speak for a lot of people in the sense that like, we all want to see Taker versus Sting. We've wanted to see it since we were kids.
Yeah.
And we missed out on that opportunity when Sting came back at WrestleMania 31. For whatever reason, they did Sting versus Triple H and Taker versus Bray Wyatt when that was an obvious match there. So why not do it? They're both old. They both can't work very long. And we saw what a pre-taped environment and it could do to The Undertaker. So let's do it for Taker Sting. Let's get the match we all want to see, and let's do it in an environment where they can thrive. I think that'd be fucking incredible.
It can also protect both of them, right? Because they can't work a live match all that well anymore. I don't think Sting is even medically cleared to do that. I think the last time he wrestled, he actually got really, really hurt. So I think in this form, you can still get him on the card, but then protect both of them actually physically. I like that idea. So yes, and I think just in general, this form of match, like this pre-tape cinematic match, by the way, might be kind of the new Hell in a Cell for WWE, and that like that's the match that everyone kind of all of a sudden goes, oh shit, like I have to pay attention to this, right? Like,
yeah, and as long as they don't overdo it, I think it works. Like if they try to do this every month, then I think it becomes a problem.
Well, that's what happened to Hell in a Cell, right? That's what that specialness and that rarity wore off. I mean, it became a pay-per-view, and all of a sudden you just kind of expected it. And I think if they do keep it, kind of like as a special event, then they're working with something. I like that.
Yep,
that's a really good
all right. Moving on to my third.
Yep,
this one I think you're gonna like.
Okay.
Seth Rollins,
versus
Adam Cole for the WWE title.
Wow. Yes, I love that.
Like, come on, like this just screams 5-star match to me.
Oh, it screams. That's like 1,000-star match right there. I'd also
Adam Cole by this time next year should be a mainstay on Raw or SmackDown.
Okay.
He is already the longest reigning NXT champion. You put him against the first NXT champion. They both have similar styles. I think you can do faction. Like if they continue this Monday Night Messiah thing, you can do faction versus faction. You can have the Undisputed Era versus the Messiah and his pro. I just think there's an angle to work there. And I think it'd be a hell of a match.
No, it would be incredible if they could add a stipulation in there too. Just nothing too crazy, not like Hell in a Cell, but keep it pure. I want
just a pure wrestling match. It'd be great.
Just like a steak, little salt, little pepper. That's what we need. I do think there would be a lot of memes, a lot of the Spider-Man memes, because like these dudes kind of have like the same look. Just Seth has a lot more chest hair, right?
And facial hair, but
yeah. So, but that being said, it would be, damn, that's a really good match. And that prediction kind of shits on my next one. I kind of
all right, hit me with it.
Mine it's ironically also Adam Cole based. So I had Adam Cole. I went safe. I went Adam Cole versus Finn Balor in a one-on-one match because I do think that could be a Flames match too. And I think Cole. Okay, so two things. Adam Cole not being on WrestleMania this year, like I think he would have been under any normal circumstances. They would have found a way to put him on the card, just kind of like they did at Survivor Series, right? Like he defended the title at Survivor Series. And one of my takeaways from WrestleMania 36 was it was a little weird to not have Finn Balor on the card. Like it was just it just felt awkward because I was as I was doing the retrospective roundtable pods that we did, I was just kind of looking back, and every time I would look back at the card, Finn was involved in some capacity, right? Like he's kind of always been misused and miscast on the main roster, but he was just always there and always did a phenomenal job. And my rationale with this prediction was just kind of getting him back on. So
now, would that would just be a normal match, or would you put in the NXT title?
I had the NXT title on the line there, but you kind of had a better idea with calling Cole up to the main or the Raw or SmackDown and kind of having him vie for that title. So which I think is,
I mean, I like the match. I just feel like it's going to happen way before WrestleMania. I feel like this happens at SummerSlam weekend.
Hey, please.
Like, what if, all right, we're going to sidetrack here. What if SummerSlam weekend, it's Adam Cole versus Finn Balor, winner take all. They both have belts. Adam Cole is NXT champion. Finn Balor is NXT UK champ.
Ooh, yes. Please.
And then we have a double champ somehow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I like it.
Okay.
I mean,
all right. Moving on to your number 4.
My fourth one. This one's a little weird, a little funky. Okay. But I've got The Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
Okay.
Taking on my best friend, Brock Lesnar.
Jesus Christ, I had that exact same match in the exact same spot.
There it is.
Yes.
We got to book it.
Oh, my God.
And
That's incredible.
We did not talk about this off air. We just said make predictions. We just think of the same wavelength. We've been doing this a year now. You know,
right?
We're just
same match, same spot. That's crazy.
Yeah. The Fiend, like the lead up to it, the build up of promos between the Fiend and Paul Heyman. Oh,
just sign me up for that.
Jesus, I would watch an hour of them just kind of like that's a movie basically. Them just.
Could you see like the Brock running into the fun house and just destroying everything because he's pissed off because he can't find Bray Wyatt? Like that kind of stuff, that kind of storytelling. Oh, like the possibilities are endless there. Like they could do a fun house match if they wanted to, but they don't need to.
It could be a regular match and it'd still be fun because Bray can work. But, I mean, there's probably a kidnapping angle in there at some point. Like, Bray's going to kidnap Paul Heyman. There's going to be a Paul Heyman doll. There's going to be a Brock Lesnar doll. Suplex sit. Like, there's so much stuff that Bray could do. And, oh, man. there's a reason why both of us thought of it independently. It would be phenomenal.
That could also be a way to get the Fiend, like, really, really over if he kind of, quote-unquote, buries Brock Lesnar.
Right. Exactly. That'd be
holy
huge.
Shit, man. All right, there's a reason why we both had that.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome. All right, moving on to my last one.
Yep.
This is something that probably should have happened this year, but obviously it didn't. I have Becky versus Ronda Rousey in a street fight.
Ooh, street fight. Yes. Is this
we
for a
need
title?
To have
is this for a title?
Between the two.
Is this for a title?
No. I don't have it as a title in my notes. I just have it as the street fight, just a regular fight. Like there's so much history and there's been so much trash talk. I think there needs to be a blow off since Ronda hasn't had a chance to come back and basically like shut up Becky. So I think this would be a way, like you can have Ronda come back, win the Rumble if you want to have a belt involved. And then this is what you have as a blow off is you have Becky versus Ronda in a street fight.
Right. Yes,
I think it'd be fucking awesome.
We just need that one-on-one. I mean, and with like a more legit finish between the two. Like watching back 35, like it was a really good match. You know, that triple threat. It was still a little weird with kind of Charlotte being in there because, again, triple threats in the main title picture. I mean, I'm saying that, but then I booked Reigns, Rock, and Cena. That's all goes to say like we wanted Becky, Ronda. And this would, I like it. This would be a great way to put it in. And the street fight just kind of adds that that would add a lot more emotion, a lot more hate into the rivalry. So
or like a street fight, or you can do a cell. I mean, anything that you could have Ronda like lean into Ronda's instincts as a fighter,
right?
And showcase her instincts as a fighter. I think that would be great. A cell would just add to the fact like Ronda's back in a cage kind of thing. But I like the street fight angle because I think it'd be more interesting, especially in an arena where you can walk out amongst the crowd, do all that kind of stuff, do things that they couldn't do with Edge versus Randy Orton.
Right, exactly. There you go. All right, so that's your 5. That's a really good card by you. All right, so snaking over to my last prediction. This is actually it's not too crazy. This is actually something I would love to see. I would love to see. It's a tag match, booking a tag match.
Okay.
I want to see the New Day taking on the Street Profits. Oh, that build up would be nice. It'd be like an earlier in the card match, but like there's a lot of those guys can talk. A lot of those guys can talk and they can go. I was trying to book Kofi back into the main title picture, but just with kind of every like where it is and how they're probably going to play it, I figured that they're still going to put them on the card, but New Day versus Street Profits is that'd be my jam.
That'd be an excellent match just for Montez and Kofi.
Kofi alone, yeah,
there. That'd be incredible. I'm starting to wonder, like, part of me is starting to do the countdown of when they're going to pull the plug on the New Day. Like, the New Day is great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a time where they pull the plug and they do a breakup.
It's so I don't know if it's anytime soon, to be honest, because like I know it's felt like a long time, but I think they've been together like 5-6 years now.
Something like that.
In every interview and every podcast that I listen to with them, obviously they have their own podcast. They talk about they firmly believe that they don't want to do that. Right? It's just like that's their hardline stance. I almost respect it, right? Because it's like every time a group comes together, we're all inherently just counting down the hours until they are done, right? Like that's where we're always waiting for. Like every time we watch a pay-per-view together, and it's like you're always screaming at the TV like turn. So it's I don't think that they would do that because of how strongly they believe in that, and two, like they have the podcast now, right? Which is, by the way, I mean, thanks for listening to this podcast. That podcast is blowing us out the water. Ratings,
it's an incredible podcast. Yeah.
It's on the Apple Podcast main page and everything else. And like the things that they do together, and like, sure, they could on screen kind of break up and then off screen still do the pod and you know, keep it that way. I just don't see them doing that because like together there's just something special there. I think that individually, they know they kind of saw where their ceiling was, and together they just kind of burst through that ceiling.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I mean, I totally get what you're saying. I'm just looking at it as like storytelling wise, it would be great to see a blow off and allow Big E and Kofi to go their separate ways.
Yeah.
And they could have a pretty substantial feud that could be something that's main eventing several pay-per-views and whatnot. And then you would eventually have the reunion.
Right.
But I mean, if they want to stay together, they can stay together because they're great and I love them. As for the Street Profits, Montez 100% needs to go on his own. Like,
yeah, I think that's inevitable.
Like he is just head and shoulders. And this is no disrespect to Angelo Dawkins because he's really good, but Montez is special. Like he is legit special.
Yeah. And I think with the introduction of Bianca now kind of running with him, or running with them, I should say, like that is only a matter of time, I believe. Yeah.
Well, if WWE wants to steal some of these ideas, go ahead, because these are fire.
Please do. The first 5 are free. That's been our motto on this show.
Yeah, so if there's any WWE writers listening, please feel free to drop us a line and use these ideas. And now we got to pay some bills.
We do. So we're going to take a quick break to talk about our friends over at Bet Online. With currently no NBA, NHL, or MLB, you might think there's nothing to bet on. Well, you'd be wrong. Our exclusive partner, Bet Online, still has hundreds of events, games, and props to wager on. From their online casino to poker and blackjack, they're bringing Vegas to you. Missing the NFL? No problem. Bet Online has live daily Madden NFL 20 simulations you can bet on.
You can still bet on Survivor, Big Brother, American Idol, stock prices, and even the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Hello.
All open 24 hours a day and all online. Use promo code BlueWire to join today and receive your new welcome bonus. Bet Online, your online wagering solution.
All right. So we've paid the bills. We've predicted WrestleMania 37. I surprised Jeremy. But again, this is a one year anniversary celebration. So as fun as it is to just, party with my co-host and my friend, what's a party without a third person, at least? So with that, let's go bring in our special guest. For this 1 year, Two Jabronis with a Wrestling Podcast episode, we wanted to invite some guests and some friends onto the show because, quite frankly, we're both fairly lonely and craving human interaction other than our direct families. And who the hell knew we'd make it to 1 year? And thus, we figured it was time to celebrate. Our first guest is an NBA writer and podcast host for The Athletic, but more importantly, a basketball coach and former professional wrestler. We'll dive into that a little bit later. Dave DuFour, welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me. I didn't even realize it was your 1 year anniversary show.
Yeah, man, we wanted to surprise you. So welcome.
Congratulations.
No, I appreciate that.
I'm honored.
No,
that's a big deal, man. It's really hard to do podcasting, and everyone thinks it's the easiest job. So you get no respect for, you got a podcast too? Great.
Right.
But people don't realize how hard it is to do one, much less to do one for a year. You guys, every week?
Every week. Yeah. We had a couple of bonus episodes sprinkled in there. We WrestleMania just passed, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but we were going ham with those episodes. So it's felt a little bit longer, but it's been a year. So
sure.
Again,
it's been 60 episodes?
60 plus, yeah.
Yeah. I've been podcasting now for almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years in August. And it feels like it's been 40 years.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I definitely in podcast years am up there.
Well, there you go. It's always great to just have someone who understands the just the work that's involved and everything else. So anyway, it's by the way, it's a little weird for me personally to be talking to you directly, because usually I'm just editing light years and hearing you talk to Sam and Andy about everything NBA. So definitely thrilled.
They haven't had me on in a long time.
Well, they wanted me to tell you hello, by the way.
Yeah,
and I'll pass this message along, this clip specifically, that what the hell, dudes. So
yeah, they know how to get in touch with me.
Yeah.
don't you don't have to send Ben.
Right, exactly. I'm going to jump right into the first question here. Were you baking bread earlier today? I saw an amazing pic you posted on Twitter. That shit looked like it was restaurant quality.
Okay, it really is good. It's some of the best bread that I've had in America. It's a simple little recipe, and I like to try new stuff. And the other day, may have been under the influence of something. I just really wanted some rosemary olive oil bread.
Okay.
I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make this how I think it's made.
Sure.
Now, this works for me with cooking. So I'm very into food, got a good palate, good nose, and I can figure stuff out. I can say, oh, you know what? This is missing that. This is, it needs more of this. This is in there.
Yeah.
Well, baking is more scientific. It's not jazz. It's not art. And so I was like, all right, how hard could it be? Well, my first loaf was pretty pitiful. It tasted okay, but it was pitiful. It was more like a scone.
Okay.
It was flat. It had no real shape to it.
Yeah.
The color was all off because I just didn't bake it right. And then my second attempt, I actually watched a couple YouTube videos. It was better. And then this third one, oh man, it's beautiful. I even did this leaf pattern on the top.
I saw that. That's why I was thinking this is fancy. This is some restaurant quality shit, man. I was really impressed. My wife was walking by as I was scrolling through Twitter, and she's like, "Is that bread?" And I was like, she's never interested in anything like I do, except she saw some bread and was like, "That shit looks amazing."
Listen, I'm going to shoot you the recipe. It's so easy to make.
Please do. My wife loves bread, so.
Here's the thing. What I am learning, and so I'm a patient person in general. Yeah. What I am learning is that with bread, and maybe all baking, I don't know because I'm not a baker, it is very much about being patient and diligent. And so with this last one, I set it up. I was folding it every hour for a few hours. Then I let it sit in the fridge overnight, folded it again. I actually made 2 mini loaves because I wanted to, experiment with what I was doing on top of the loaf. And the patience that I showed really paid off, and it's delicious. I wasn't planning to eat it because I actually am not a huge bread eater.
Sure.
But when I do eat bread, I want to eat good bread.
Yeah.
And so I ate a bunch of my second batch because it was delicious.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to eat this. I'm just playing around with it. It's going to cost me 10 cents and really no time when you add it all up. I have one of those stand mixers, like someone that actually bakes.
Yeah.
I use the meat grinder attachment, but more than I use the dough part. And so it takes me no time. It really was no work to do. So I was just playing around with it. And then I tasted it and I was like, wow, this is too good. And I ate a half of a loaf. That was lunch.
That's incredible. Well, yeah, please send us the recipe.
Yeah, I will.
We'll try to catch up. So the first question we always ask our guests is their wrestling fan origin story, because Jeremy and I, we're children of the Attitude Era. And we love to set it up. Like, how did you get into this crazy, crazy world?
I'm from Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
And I was born in 1981. So it's impossible to have been born mid to late 70s, early 80s, and not be a wrestling fan in Richmond, Virginia. It just, Saturday, at noon, I was watching NWA wrestling, and then, it turned into WCW. We also got WWF television, so I got Friday night's main event as well. And then they did a Saturday night show for a long time.
Yeah.
But or like an early Saturday night show, and I used to watch that as a kid. And so it was just kind of always around. And you're a boy and you want to wrestle with your buddies, and then you're practicing moves that you saw. My era was the age when they started having to say, "Don't try this at home."
Yeah.
The warning that never worked.
Yeah, but this was before the hardcore stuff got mainstream, and they really had to do it. Hey, don't hit your friends with fluorescent light bulbs.
Right, and like a barbed wire bat. Yeah,
they were doing those kind of things way before that for my age group. Maybe we were dumb. We were dumber than our parents who also watched wrestling. I don't know, but yeah, so that's what it was. I mean, I grew up in the South, but far enough north that I got WWF and NWA. And then, there were always local wrestling shows. The South is big for indies. So, we see all these people and, go to the Richmond Coliseum and go watch Ric Flair in the mid 80s.
Wow.
Cool
stuff.
It was a cool time to be a wrestling fan. Did not realize it at the time,
Definitely. So who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
God, it's such a hard question.
Give us like a top. Give us your Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore.
I mean, well, the Mount Rushmore is going to be like all of. I think all of wrestling fandom kind of has the Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, all those guys. I would say I actually answered this on Twitter the other day. If I'm not including the actual Mount Rushmore of wrestling, it's going to be the guys that came up in the early to mid 90s, like Jericho. I love Bret Hart, and nobody would put him in that same echelon as Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold or The Rock or any of those guys. But I love Bret Hart. Loved Great Muta. Again, mid 80s, late 80s, when I was watching wrestling. Sting and Muta, one of the best matches of all time. And, Muta coming over, and then Liger came over not long after. That stuff all fed right into when they got to Monday Nitro. But Muta, Bret Hart, Jericho, and probably Eddie Guerrero, who,
there we go.
He was amazing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so we were talking about this before we started recording. You used to be in the professional wrestling world. So like give us the rundown. Like, how did this start? Why did it end? Like, give us the full rundown.
So I was just, I was an athlete my whole life, and I was working at a gym, and I met some guys who were wrestlers. And I think that a lot of people's stories have kind of started that same way. Mm-hmm. But was a good athlete, loved wrestling as a kid. These guys invited me to come hung out, gave it a shot. Always was pretty comfortable with a microphone and in front of people. So that was not an issue for me. I didn't have any fears to get over as far as that went. And I just enjoyed it, and putting on a show was a lot of fun. And so, I did musicals and stuff in high school. It was very up my alley. And then, just got into it in a way that I never expected when I first started. I was like, oh, let's check this out. And then really loved it because of all of the other stuff. I mean, performing was great. And I really enjoyed it. And I think I did pretty well, but I really loved the business part, because we ran a promotion as well. I learned how to edit video because of wrestling. I learned how to do graphic design because of wrestling. I learned how to light a live event because of wrestling. I learned how to do audio because of wrestling.
Right.
I learned how to book a venue. I learned how to book bands to play an event. Like I learned all these different skills that I use. A lot of them I still use today because of wrestling. So I think I got more probably out of the business side. I got injuries and stuff from the wrestling part. And,
wow.
Aches and pains. But yeah, so I got into it as like an outlet and wound up turning it into a business for a while.
That's crazy. What was your finisher?
It varied. I wasn't like, this. I don't know. I don't know what this because I haven't listened to this podcast because I'm actually just coming back to wrestling.
Right.
Or dipping my toe in the water.
I want to ask you about that after. Yeah, definitely.
I got to see if I can do it in a healthy way. Right.
Yeah.
But I was very much interested in the psychology and storytelling.
Right.
Involved in wrestling. And I liked the fact that my matches could be pretty unpredictable. I didn't have to nobody had to sell a finisher for me. Because I might not have one.
Yeah.
But when I did, it was a top rope elbow, Macho Man.
Oh, there you go.
3/4 of the ring, big elbow. I get to land in the soft spot.
Yeah.
I hit my buddies hard.
That takes a lot of athleticism because it's depending on where they are positioned in the ring. Yeah.
I was a good athlete. Yeah.
Absolutely. How close did you get, if at all, to WWE? Were you on that trajectory at all?
That's tough to answer.
Okay.
Just like politically, I was not. I didn't sign any deals.
Sure.
I did go to OVW. And I did try out.
Yeah.
And two of my buddies decided to stay at OVW, and I declined.
Right.
But that's it. I was, I didn't sign a development deal. I didn't do any of that stuff. And honestly, like even my indie touring was pretty limited. I did quite a bit of it, but I kept it tight just because of where we were doing our shows. Like we were doing our shows in Richmond. And so it was important to me to just kind of be around there.
Right. And then I guess kind of looking at the landscape now, did you come across anyone during your time in the indies just like that's on TV now, or it's like whether they're in WWE, AEW, New Japan, like
yeah, a lot of the guys that have come up through Next or NXT,
right?
A lot of the guys that came out of FCW and then were in OVW when they went to FCW, I at least met or hung out with. A couple of my buddies are still in the business, so I knew a lot of people through them. And then on the indies, you're constantly running into people,
right?
So yeah, I've met quite a few of these people. So a lot of their dads too, a lot of second and third generation guys.
Oh yeah. So why did you decide to ultimately step away from wrestling and the fandom and all that?
Well, the people are kind of shitty. Is number one, right? I don't know if I need to censor myself.
No, not at all. Let it fly.
Not at all.
Let it fly.
It's kind of an industry full of sharks to a degree, and I think anybody painting the industry in any other kind of light is just lying to you. It's a lot of hustlers, not necessarily in a bad way. It's a lot of people working hard to get, to live their dream. And sometimes you have to do stuff that maybe other people don't agree with. And so, yeah, I just didn't really like the people all that much. Not the people I worked with. People I worked with were great. These were my best friends. And we really just this is like the best time of my life building this thing with my friends.
Yeah.
But the other people, and if I wanted to actually go forward and, make a real career out of it, I was going to have to deal with people I didn't want to. And I mean, I don't even have to name names. Like we all know the the worst actors.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that, and also, man, you get 5 or 6 concussions.
Yeah.
In 6 years, 7 years. Shit starts to weigh on you, especially because this was, late, right before 2010. So 2007, 2008, I got a pretty bad concussion and was kind of fucked up for a couple days.
Yeah.
And just out of commission.
Was that
of course, no health insurance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just jumping from 15 feet in the air onto concrete.
Yeah.
You don't need health insurance.
Right.
And so I finally was just I can't do this forever.
Yeah.
And then I quit. I think I wrestled the last match I did was 2010 was the last match I did.
Wow. So 10 years ago. Was the concussion the worst injury you suffered? Was there anything more gruesome?
I cracked my heel.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's
awful.
Christ. It was terrible. It's the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. You'd be shocked how much sensitivity there is and how like, a lot of nerve endings, I guess. I don't know, but it hurt really bad. Our EMTs then dragged me to the back, but it was a main event match, and there was 8 of us in the match, so it was okay. So I disappeared for a minute. I got to come back out, not walking really.
Came back. Like Paul pierced it? You Paul pierced it?
No, I did not shit myself. Yeah,
that's fair. So how did all that lead you to covering the NBA? Like that's so
I was a basketball player growing up.
Okay.
And I mean, basketball was my favorite sport. It was my love. And then, so after I stopped wrestling, my wife and I moved to South Korea. She's in the Air Force, so we move a lot. And while I was there, I was working in a high school teaching, and they just needed a coach for JV girls volleyball. I've told this story a lot, so skip ahead if you're somebody that's heard it before. But I was coaching JV girls volleyball and really just enjoyed coaching. I was like, well, if I'm going to coach, I should be coaching basketball. And so I started kind of teaching myself, like, all right, this is the way I would want to coach. I already had like the mind for it. A lot of coaching stuff is leadership anyway. And I, running my own business, so I was prepared for that part of it. And then just trying to educate myself on how to be a basketball coach, which is a totally different thing. So I started training kids in the gym, teaching them how to play basketball. And then I moved to Germany, and I talked myself into a job I wasn't qualified for at all. Took it over. Yeah, took it over. Did well as a coach. Got my teams promoted to new leagues, which, just like soccer. And just, it really, really took to it. And it's my favorite thing I've ever done is coaching basketball. Like there's a part of me that really doesn't even love covering the NBA because I would rather be in a gym coaching.
Sure.
It's just that it doesn't really work for my life. And also I don't want to, I don't know. There's a certain aspect of you give up so much freedom in order to do the job. And I believe in a good work-life balance.
Right.
So I just haven't found a way to coach and have it not take over your entire life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I got into that. And then I just started covering the NBA because Nate Duncan told me I should start a podcast.
Of course.
Yeah. It's a huge mistake by Nate.
All right. So circling back to, obviously this weekend was WrestleMania weekend. What were your first thoughts watching the show? Obviously this was a 2-nighter, which was rare. I've never seen that before. And it was
smart.
It was. There was way too much wrestling. I mean, last year there was like 7 hours worth
straight.
of. Yeah, it was crazy. So for them to split it up into 2 nights was smart. What were your initial thoughts of WrestleMania?
So, I mean, the first thing that stands out, obviously, is that wrestling is meant to be done in front of a crowd.
Right.
Half the battle is you're trying to draw that reaction.
Yep.
And when you're watching at home on television, you feed off that reaction from the crowd. I mean, I have well-publicized thoughts on how the NBA treats its live audience. And I think that if you watched WrestleMania with no fans, you could see, wow, actually having fans invested in what's happening really enhances the product. That being said, I've watched a lot of wrestling with no crowds. I mean, it's a big part of learning how to wrestle is there's no one there.
Sure.
And you got to fake it. You got to pretend there's a crowd because so much of that stuff, it just becomes muscle memory. And you can see these people were out there and kind of going through those motions. I think for the most part, they did great. There's a couple of things that I could quibble with. Like I would have loved to seen Randy Orton and Edge just decide, you know what, I know this is a falls count anywhere, but the best thing we could do is tell a story right in the middle of the ring. And Randy Orton is like, he's best known. I know you guys probably think of the RKO, but when I think of him, I think of the rest holds. The guy is the king of a rest hold. But think about the storytelling that he and Edge could have done with a lot of downtime, you know?
Yep.
Whereas they were blown up and they were in the back and they were getting no help from the commentary team. So, there are definitely things like that I see differently than maybe the average fan. That match also shouldn't have been 37 minutes long.
It was way too long. Way too long.
So long.
So there were things that, given no crowd, you grade on a curve. There were a lot of really good matches.
Yeah.
There were a lot of matches that I thought were excellent. But man, what a tough show to do.
I mean, I thought Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn made excellent work of no crowd.
Fantastic.
Like, they were great.
It was great.
I actually really liked Shayna versus Becky as well, because they seem to be working pretty snug, and you could hear them hitting each other, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, I even asked, because again, I'm not familiar with a lot of these people and how they work. You know, who are the guys that or women that are stiff, because they're going to come across way better.
Right.
You know, everyone had to get more snug, and Shayna, I thought they did a really great job, because they were slapping each other pretty hard.
Yep.
They were using the mic to their advantage. I actually thought Charlotte did a really good job of that as well, using the mic. Like, she was actually speaking, you know, almost a normal voice instead of this yelling thing. There were some other people that were a little more awkward when, you know, pretending to talk, and it was like,
I really enjoyed the trash talk between Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And Kevin Owens obviously making the best out of a shitty situation and jumping off the top of the sign. That was pretty cool. What did you think of the Boneyard and Firefly Funhouse?
All right, so those are two of the best things I've ever seen in wrestling.
Yes,
right?
Thank you.
Two of the best things I've ever. First of all, both of those are like Vince McMahon's wet dreams. That's what he has wanted their product to be since the 80s. I mean, you guys remember the stuff that they did with Undertaker and Jake the Snake? I don't know if you've watched it on the network.
I mean,
they did a lot. They've done a lot of this type of thing. They've never done anything as good as this. I thought that Boneyard match was the ultimate tribute. Like, let's say Undertaker, this is his last match. What a send-off.
Yeah.
Perfect.
They literally sent him off on a motorcycle. I mean, it starts out as a horror movie, which pays homage to his roots, and then it goes into this Western thing.
Yep.
It's just, I mean, it was beautiful. It was great. AJ Styles, I don't know when he started bumping like Shawn Michaels, but he was just fantastic in that whole match, doing everything that to really make Taker look like Taker at 35 instead of 55. That match was perfect, beautiful. The cinematography was excellent. The scenery was, it was perfect use of this unique situation, which is why I actually thought they should have done this with all the matches. You had the time. Why not just, hey, work them all up and do them all in this movie style? Say, you know what? This is going to be a weird WrestleMania. Lean into the weird, which is what they did with the Boneyard match and the Funhouse match. And the Funhouse match really leaned into the weird. And man, I love this Bray Wyatt as the Joker to John Cena's Batman.
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful. It was fantastic. I know Jim Cornette didn't love it because,
well, he doesn't love a lot of things.
I know, right?
Kind of
but the thing is, I agree with Jim Cornette on so much,
right,
when it comes to wrestling. Like, I think having a good guy and having a bad guy is vitally important in every single match.
Yeah,
even when it's two good guys. Somebody, like, it's how the medium is. Somebody has to work that heel stuff because you've got to figure that out. And there are matches. Well, you know, I'm assuming they still happen. When I was still very into wrestling, too often you would have the double babyface match where, you know, it just looks like the guys are just giving each other everything.
Yeah, you
need to have a little bit of a struggle. Otherwise, who cares? You know, part of the art form is the struggle.
Right.
And so, you know, I thought that those cinematic things they did, it was very, you know, the line of demarcation was there. It was very clear. And I just thought it was a really smart use of the space. And in particular, because they didn't have the crowd.
Yeah.
I don't think either of those matches, I don't think either of those segments happen that way if it's a normal WrestleMania. And
right.
I think they should be applauded for, you know, kind of taking the medium to a new place.
Yeah. I mean, that's
every guy is going to want a Boneyard match now.
Yeah. Seriously.
They are all going to want it. The Undertaker has a little 10-minute movie or 15-minute movie. He's going to show his grandkids.
Yeah.
They all are going to want it.
The Taker match went from one of the matches that we were all dreading and expecting it to be one of the worst, because I mean, Taker just can't work the way that he used to quite possibly the best thing on the weekend. And that was great to see.
What covered up all of his issues. Right?
Yep. And then like the Firefly Funhouse match, like there was barely any wrestling in it, and it still didn't matter. Like it was great.
Was there any wrestling?
Like maybe
I don't remember.
30
like
seconds.
three.
Very,
I know they sold
end.
a bunch of NWO shirts.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Right?
I haven't taken the plunge to buy an NWO shirt in years because there's just been other wrestling shirts that have come across. The sight of John Cena in one is what put me over. So that's definitely coming in.
You're not a real wrestling fan if you don't have an NWO shirt with the sleeves cut off
right
that you wore to the gym. That's
exactly
like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
But you know, I thought it was a nice homage again to the past of WWE, and again doing the Nitro stuff. I just thought they did a fantastic job of making it nostalgic and also trippy.
Yeah.
I really want to know who wrote it.
So
because it is excellent. That person should be making movies.
I think the person who was in charge, I don't know who like filmed it and scored it and everything, but I think the person who had a big hand in putting it all together was Jeremy Borash. So he works behind the scenes in WWE, obviously.
Yeah.
And he was working at Impact during Broken Matt Hardy. So I think that's when a lot of this went super mainstream, was when Broken Matt Hardy kind of did it.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah.
The other guy that worked on the Broken Matt Hardy stuff did the Boneyard match.
Yeah. So I mean, it's so interesting because Matt Hardy was just on WWE TV like a few weeks ago, and you know he couldn't do this stuff for whatever reason. They kept playing up his like Hot Topic pants wearing Hardy Boy, right? They wouldn't let him be Broken
because that's
Matt Hardy.
where they always go.
Yeah, they just kind of went back to the nostalgia. Like that works for Jeff Hardy because that's his appeal, that's his draw.
He also never changed that,
right? Like even when he was part of the Broken Universe in Impact, like he was still essentially Jeff Hardy, and it was so frustrating to watch Matt Hardy not be allowed to even like explore this. Like they let him dabble, but they'd pull him right back, and it was just so interesting that like he leaves and all of a sudden they just dive right in.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah,
but this is sort of wrestling creative in a nutshell, and especially WWE. It just seems like there are guys that they just can never figure out how to use. They figure it out somewhere else.
Right.
And Matt is one of them. And Matt's super talented.
Yeah, absolutely. So the big question, all that, was WrestleMania 36 enough to suck you back in?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. They're like, again, without a crowd, it's so hard to judge. I did enjoy myself.
Yeah.
You know, when I stopped watching wrestling, I wasn't using social media.
Right.
It's a whole different component where you're actually watching stuff with people. So that was kind of fun and interesting. And, you know, I love to make jokes and you know, I just basically got to do a lot of that. And then also, you know, I actually have some expertise in this industry, so I could point out some things that maybe people don't know. So that was fun. I'm not sure though. I was a big fan of Bianca Belair.
Yes.
So if they're going to do stuff with her,
she's phenomenal.
I'll stick around and watch some. Maybe I'm going to give it a few weeks. I mean, you know, I need to go back and watch Raw from last night because I want to see, you know, how they addressed the fallout from the stuff at Mania.
There's I won't spoil.
And then they're taking some time off, right?
TBD. There's I think they've literally filmed up until tomorrow night. So tomorrow night is NXT. I know AEW's filmed a few weeks out. But they're in an interesting spot because like some people like Rhea Ripley, she had to go back to Australia or wherever she's from, and she's now stuck there.
Right.
Like, because she can't, obviously, like with the pandemic happening, like she can't travel. So they literally are missing what was their top NXT women's star until WrestleMania. So I don't know how they're going to deal with all that, but it'll definitely be interesting. I know they pre-taped a lot of stuff, but tomorrow will kind of be that deadline, and I don't know how else they're going to play it because Raw. I don't know how. By the way, side note: the fact that they've been able to fill 3 hours of programming on Raw for the past couple of weeks has been nothing short of impressive. Like I know.
Okay, but you work in the content creation business.
Yeah.
You know you can listen. You know you can just say, all right, we're on this show, for instance. Okay, we're gonna go watch Monday Nitro. From Mall of America. We're gonna talk about when Lex Luger came out.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And they do replay a lot of stuff. They end up playing stuff from years ago, but it's still, I mean, the fact that they've been able to hang out this long has been super interesting. All right. So I have a little bit of a game here for you. So I want you to take a stab at giving us your best NBA WWE comparison. For example, right? So, and it can be throughout history because I know you kind of been out of it a little bit. So it doesn't have to be from current. For example, in today's WWE, this is my comparison. You can both you can tear to shreds or you can agree, whatever. I'd say the Fiend right now is Giannis. Okay, both universally liked, elite at what they do, but they haven't quite achieved like that top billing. I know the Fiend won the title, but kind of pulled it off of them pretty quick. Okay. But they could possibly be unlocked to achieve their greatest level if they left their current space. So
I feel like that's a Warriors fan in you.
That's a Warriors fan. Yeah,
what?
yeah.
How dare you? How dare you?
I tend to disagree with that as far as Giannis goes. I think Giannis right now is like Tuesday in Texas Undertaker. I think he's like just about to do his best stuff.
Okay.
This is an interesting exercise. John Cena might be LeBron.
Interesting.
Because he's up there in age, but can still go. Can still really go.
Yeah.
Is gonna be underrated by a lot of people and loved by a lot of people. Yep. Like John Cena is a much better wrestler than he gets credit for. Obviously, he's good with a microphone.
Yep.
I think John Cena might be LeBron.
I like that. I'm putting that in the title just because that's a huge searchability grab. John Cena,
there
LeBron James.
There you go. Gotta maximize that SEO.
Yeah, the SEO, baby. That's
man, this is so tough. I actually kind of wish you'd give me a heads up. I would have.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Thought about this a little bit more. Well, you give me another one. Yeah, let me hear from you guys. I can feed off of it.
Man, so the Fiend Giannis one I took a lot of time putting together because I wanted to troll both of you. I was trying to find like a Steph Curry equivalent, kind of keeping the Warriors thing, where it's like, again, super liked, I think, in the beginning, but once he kind of made it, people just turned on him. I feel like Twitter.
Well, I mean, that's Rey Mysterio.
There you go. See?
Right? Like, even though, we think about Steph being a small guy. But it's true. Like Rey Mysterio, when he first came up, man, everybody loved him. And then he started getting hurt. And he got a little too big.
Ooh, there we go. I actually feel that because every time Rey Mysterio, I used to love Rey Mysterio, love him. Yeah. Now when he's on, I kind of have that face of really.
WCW Rey Mysterio is one of my favorite wrestlers.
Incredible,
he's excellent,
incredible.
Yeah. But the injuries catch up to all these guys, and then again, like he just put on too much size, and so like when you wrestle that style and you're that big, I mean it's tough.
That I hope that explains why his son is so much taller than him. Like that has never been. You got to check it out. If you his son's been on WWE programming in the past couple of months. Had some spots with Brock Lesnar. Got F5'd by Brock Lesnar a couple of times. This kid is huge, and like, it's still bizarre to me because Rey Mysterio and his wife they're not tall people. I'm not trying to like.
Oh wow, he really is tall.
Yeah,
he's massive.
He's like an NBA player. He's like also, NBA player tall. He's also training to become a wrestler and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
It's there's some homework for you. You could
is he training with Lance Storm?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. So that's been interesting. I love that comparison, by the way. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. But again, it feels a little too like on the nose just because we think about Steph as being a small guy.
But it is fair though. It is fair. Yeah. It is very fair.
How about Klay Thompson's Mr. Perfect?
Ooh, that's solid.
Oh, I like that. Yes,
because he's just smooth, right?
Yeah. If you
Mr. Perfect was the coolest guy.
Oh yeah, the towel throwing. He just kept. Yeah. Oh man, I'm
also threw like a 90-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah,
to himself, right?
Super. Yeah, fantastic athlete.
I was gonna say Roman Reigns is James Harden.
Okay, talk me through this.
Just because,
does he also travel?
Yes.
Is he also?
I was just thinking because he's a wrestler that is kind of universally loathed because they're kind of force feeding him
down the throat.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And James Harden is just one of those guys that everybody outside of Houston hates.
And it can overshadow how good he is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
like people don't realize how good. Like James Harden is phenomenal. But
I watched WrestleMania 35 when the crowd did not care about Roman Reigns, and I could not understand it until you think about the context where it's like they're forcing him on the crowd.
And he's really good. Like that's the thing. Like he is so good. But he just doesn't get the respect that he deserves because he's Vince's guy, and like Vince is always going to put him in the spot that other people don't want him in. So That's kind of my thinking there.
This is good. This was a fun little activity. I enjoyed this.
That's something to flesh out, though. I do think that it is an interesting. It at least will let you know what someone thinks about.
Sure.
Either if they're a wrestling guy, what they think about a basketball player,
right?
Just in the zeitgeist. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's fantastic. All right, so I'll send you off with this. We have one last question. So it's our 1-year anniversary show, obviously. So give us your best podcasting advice so that we can keep this thing going another year and 2 years and 3 years more down the road.
I mean, it helps if you like your co-host. So I don't know if you guys like each other.
All right.
That helps.
I'm about to super kick this dude through a barbershop window. I threaten him with that every week.
You know what? Prep.
There it is.
Yep.
Don't get lazy and just show up.
Yep.
I think that like when I don't listen to podcasts that much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I do so much,
right?
Podcasting, I just like sometimes I just like silence. But I do think that there's a big drop off on shows that used to be good or could be better because they don't prep. If they prepped, it would be a better show. But I've seen there are other shows where you can tell that the prep took a downturn.
Yeah.
And I know all my best shows come when I get a chance to take 20, 25 minutes before the show, get all the bullshit out of the way, all the catching up, all the like, let me bitch about, my job or whatever, like get all that out of the way before you press record.
Right.
And then you get a nice high energy show usually. And that helps.
Yeah. I like it. That's elite preparation
and drink a lot.
Oh yeah.
We handle that.
Yeah.
I literally crushed an entire glass of white wine, heavy pour.
I was wondering what the white wine was an interesting choice because it's pretty.
It's just to give you some background on it. One of the segments on our show that we did early on, we haven't done in a while, was called the White Wine Hot Take, and we would just be like our hot take in wrestling during that week. It's a shout out to one of our friends who, like, during a team outing one time when we were working at Bleacher Report, exclusively drank white wine, no explanation. The rest of us were like drinking beers and like a couple of cocktails here and there. This dude was just drinking white. It was incredible. It was an incredible move, and it was just a little subtle shout out.
I respect it.
And also, my wife bought a shit ton of white wine, and she was like, "We have to drink this." Right, literally, as I was coming out here, she was like, "Do you want some?" And I said, "Absolutely." So that's the move.
Nice.
Watch the video podcast for those of you who are just listening on the audio. Check it out. But Dave, thank you so much for coming on, man. Tell people where they can find you on the show, socials, plug anything you got going on. I'm
awful at plugging stuff. So yeah, I'm at the Athletic.
There he is.
It.
He's got
I am out of 400 people at the Athletic. I am maybe the 399th most important person at the Athletic.
I don't think that's true. So, you're very humble.
I spend a lot of time trying to make everybody look good. That's my favorite job at the Athletic.
Well, there it is.
Yeah, all my stuff's at the Athletic. That's it.
Follow Dave on Twitter. Follow Dave on Twitter at Dave DuFour NBA. Dave, thank you so much, man. This was a lot of fun, and we got to have you back on soon. This was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. And hopefully I can stay interested in wrestling.
Just let us know. Let us know if you have any
It's
questions.
hard. Yeah, it's hard. There were moments the other night where I was like, God, do I want to have one more match?
Hey, look.
No, it's an awful idea. It's a terrible idea. Don't encourage it.
But
Benjamin,
look, that's us every week. We're like, are we really going to watch more of this? Like until the pandemic, like there would be times where
it was like 9 hours of wrestling every week.
Yeah, 9 hours. So it's like, there'd be times where like our significant others would like right before us recording, you'd hear them being like, really again with this shit.
You guys are complaining about watching 9 hours a week. I cover the NBA.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is.
I'm just.
That's fair.
That's a lot.
Yeah, you're complaining to the wrong guy.
All right, Dave. Thank you so much, man. We'll catch you soon.
Thank you. All right, so let's jump into the Wednesday Night Wars. There was actually some substantial things happening last night in the world of wrestling. First of all, I just want to lead off and talk about the women's matches on both shows.
Please,
because
yes.
On AEW you had Britt Baker versus Hiraku Shida. And then you had the women's ladder match for the number one contendership on NXT. I'm just going to go ahead and jump off with Britt Baker because though she lost this match, this was quite possibly her best match in AEW. It was incredible from a storytelling perspective. She 100% has become the best heel in the company.
Yep.
what she's doing with her character and becoming this smug asshole has just worked to a degree that I was not expecting. And in the ring, she's become much better than she was when she first started. She still has her moments where she comes off a little slow and sluggish in her moves. But I think with her heel persona, it's starting to work to her advantage. She got her nose broken last night and it was bloody.
That was a hell of an image.
Yeah. It was all over the place. But I fully expect her to be the champ by the end of the year at the rate she's going. She has shown so much improvement that I can't foresee AEW not putting the belt on her.
I mean, we thought she was going to be the first women's champion.
Right.
So
but from then to now, she's head and shoulders above where she was. Like she's just improved at this rate that I did not foresee. And it's great. And it's great for AEW because they need women's stars.
Yep.
I know Nyla is the champ right now, but I think Britt Baker is already eclipsed her as in terms of her stardom.
Yes.
Britt Baker is great. So that's my prediction is she's the champ by the end of 2020 in AEW. At the same time this match is going on, NXT was putting on the women's ladder match. Now, we'll spoil it for you. Io's the winner, and I think we all kind of expected that.
Yes.
Like, out of the crew that was in the match, Io just stood out in terms of like her stature and the match that she could have with Charlotte. Now, I don't know how you felt, but for me, this match left a little bit to be desired. I thought it was okay. It wasn't great. I thought Io, Dakota, Tegan, and Candice all showed out.
Yes.
Chelsea Green, she looked lost to me. She didn't look good at all. And Mia just seemed like the odd person out. Like she doesn't really have a feud in this.
Right.
A feud with Raquel Gonzalez. That's my assumption, but
yeah.
Io was really great. Candice was great. And obviously Dakota and Tegan are continuing their feud, but the match itself was a little bit of a mess to me. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, the right person won at the end of it. So like that, I think that's the most important thing. And I mean, I think I enjoyed it overall. I do think ladder matches like that, they really need a crowd. I think with a crowd, that match is infinitely better. Just because, again, like, so kind of going back to WrestleMania 36, right? Like, we thought the same thing going into Kofi, Morrison, and Jimmy Uso, and they ended up actually doing really well. But I think it's because there was less of them where it made that ladder match actually more consumable. With all of this, it was very chaotic, but usually in that chaos, like the crowd adds to it, right? So you're not like, I think it was just missing that ingredient because overall it was a really good match. It was a really good ladder match, and it had a couple really good spots. That I don't care how many times I see it, that fall from a ladder onto another ladder, that shit always looked like it hurts. So like, mad respect to Candice LeRae for that final bump she took from Io. But I think overall it was good. I might have set the bar too high in my head, just because given who was involved, but ultimately the right person won, and I think this is setting up for like Io Charlotte is going to be. I mean, it's going to be fire. Good. Yeah,
really good. I actually think Io can win that. Like, will win that match. Because I just don't know how long they're going to keep the belt on Charlotte. So.
Yeah, and hopefully Rhea Ripley gets back here. I mean, according to reports,
I think she's in the States.
Is she back?
Yeah, I think she's in the States. I think she's been in the States.
Okay, so if like her taking on Io for the title, that's money.
Yeah.
I want to see that 10 times out of 10. And yeah, like Charlotte, that could have just been a WrestleMania moment, a WrestleMania thing. So moving forward with Io versus Rhea would be fantastic. And, that's definitely the right move. And, I mean, dude, Io beating Charlotte, that would give her all the clout. Like, that would be...
It would immense for her character.
Yeah.
Moving on to some other AEW things. AEW was actually pretty good last night. The TNT Championship Tournament started. Cody beat Shawn Spears in the main event.
Yep.
That was to be expected. I mean, Cody, we all know where this is going. They set up the bracket, and we all know it's Cody versus Lance Archer for the TNT title.
Right.
That's how it's going to be. If it isn't, then something crazy is going on. The match itself was fine. It was a Cody Shawn Spears match. We know what we're getting out of those two. I want to talk mainly about this promo that Cody cut on AEW's social account. It was a 7-minute promo of him in a room alone smoking a cigar, just going into the tournament and breaking down each combatant. And it was another Cody classic in my eyes. It told a story. It was withdrawn a little bit. It made us seem like a badass. It really leaned into the American Nightmare character that he had when he went to New Japan and Ring of Honor. And I can't wait for him to be in front of a mic every time he talks now. Like I couldn't foresee myself saying that 4 or 5 years ago, or when he was in the WWE, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I never thought Cody would be this masterful on a mic. He continues to cut fire promo after fire promo after fire promo to the point now where no one's going to match Paul Heyman ever.
Sure.
Paul Heyman is the greatest of all time when it comes to promo skills, but he is on a level where he is a few steps behind.
Yeah.
He just knows how to get in touch with the emotional side of things and get in touch with the crowd like no other wrestler knows how to do. And I think it's special, and it's really elevating him to a top tier in terms of wrestling around the world. And then lastly, Matt Hardy challenged Chris Jericho to an elite deletion match at the Hardy Compound. So we are going to see the pre-taped skills that everybody wanted to see Matt Hardy bring to WWE, and he's bringing it to AEW, and it's going to be fucking incredible because those two are masters at their skills, or at their game. So,
and since WWE finally dabbled into it without him, I think Matt's gonna have an extra chip on his shoulder to make this shit extra weird, but also fire. So it's,
and
I'm
really
really
I don't know if you've been noticing, but like Chris Jericho's leaning into this like really hard. Like he did his own last week on Dynamite where he like chased out Vanguard 1. He was in a hot tub and leather pants. And, they're both really into this idea, and I think we have something special brewing. So when that happens, we'll be sure to break it down in real time because that is probably going to be really, really great.
That might have to be something we watch live and react to live because we both lost our minds during the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match, and we unfortunately only got the Firefly Funhouse match. Yeah, because
we weren't expecting Boneyard to be that great.
Right.
So it's like,
we after the match, I remember texting you being like, "We got to hop on the video."
Yeah,
like we have to. We got to go change this thing. So before we hop off, one more thing to touch on was I guess what they framed as the final match between Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, an hour-long match. I guess you could say. Let's just throw it out there.
Cinematic experience.
Yeah. What did you think? I'm lobbing it up to you.
So very long, and
so long.
While I enjoyed certain parts of the cinematic aspect of it, I would prefer just to have a regular match with these two. I don't understand why we needed to do this style of match.
Yeah.
It's not like these guys can't work. They could put together an hour match and do it live. Like, why can't we just do that? It felt awkward. It didn't feel as natural as the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match because those matches leaned into those characters. This was just them beating the shit out of each other for an hour in a poorly lit stage. Like, why can't we just do a normal match? That was my biggest takeaway.
No, so I agree in that, like, it felt like a halfway between a regular match and a cinematic match, right? And it's just like it sat in this weird zone where it just didn't feel comfortable because these are two of the best workers in the fucking company. Like, why are we like either go all the way or, like you said, let them run it live, and it would be incredible. So that was my biggest issue, was like they almost didn't pick a lane, right? And so anyway, that aside too, is like everyone has just spent the entire weekend complaining how long Randy Orton Edge was, and that was 36 minutes. We were like, oh, it's too long, this, that, and the other. And obviously this was filmed previously and, probably a few weeks ago, so no one knew at that time that Edge Orton was going to go that long, or, that Boneyard and Firefly were just going to erupt the way that they did. So I think if they could run it back, they would either have run this before Mania, kind of like in that kind of how like Keith Lee defended the North American title before Mania, right? So that way that we don't have these preconceived notions of that, or those preconceived feelings about this match. Anyway, yeah. So biggest takeaways: too long, and they really, really should have picked a lane. I didn't enjoy the halfway aspect of it. Candice's involvement was a little bit weird for me.
That was so weird. Like
she literally dropped him off.
It took me out of the moment.
Yeah, she dropped him off to the match site at the beginning, like she was dropping off her kid to go to school.
Right.
So it was like, all right, this is already felt a little weird, but I was like, I can vibe with it. Like it's at a site that's not the Performance Center. That's fine. But then, yeah, her coming in at the end, being like, what are you guys doing? And then I hate my husband. Then she like kicks him in the nuts. And then you're like, okay, well, like I did like the human aspect that it brought out of Tommaso, where he was like, oh, damn, like your wife just screwed you over. And then they got pulled back out again when she like kicked him in the nuts. And
is she heel now? Is that the thing? Like, is she a heel?
Yeah, I think both of them. Well, obviously Johnny is, and I think she's just kind of joining him on that dark side. But yeah, man, it was a little strange for me.
It was, yeah, it didn't add anything to the story to me. It just felt forced. The one thing I will say that I really, really enjoyed was, I don't know if you caught this, the Killer Cross Scarlett Bordeaux appearance at the very end. They're in the car.
Oh.
So when Candice and Johnny are walking in the parking lot, they pass a black car, and if you pause it, you could see Killer Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux sitting in the car. And I fucking lost it when I saw that.
I turned my stream off. Or
I was like, holy shit, what a way to get them involved, because obviously they've been teased.
Right.
They were in the last promo. So now we're getting Killer Cross versus Johnny Gargano. But I just love the little introduction of them at the very, very last minute. That's what, to be honest, that was my favorite part of the match.
Wow. Well, there you go. See, surprises happen on this show. I guess this is you surprising me. So I appreciate it. All right, everyone. It's been a long weekend. This is actually like, I feel like this is like our fifth episode
show, yeah,
of the week. But thanks for hanging in there with us this week. Thanks for hanging in there with us this whole year. We've got more stuff coming throughout, and we're obviously all cooped up at the house right now, cooped up at home. So we'll be pumping out more content for you to enjoy. The video podcasts are here to stay. I warned Jeremy, so that's part of the repertoire now.
I need to make sure that my studio area looks a little bit cleaner and nicer.
Yeah, I got to get like a back wall to this thing because I know it's a little bit awkward for everyone to kind of see. Like,
I just like seeing the booze. Like, you got all the booze there. Yeah. I just have like a Macho Man poster, and the rest of my like.
Well,
Star
the Macho
Wars
Man poster is very on brand, so it's like, yeah, that can be in there. We'll work on the aesthetics over here. Also, this is now my chance or our chance to plug our YouTube channel. We officially have one, so find us on Two Jabronis with a Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button over there. I still haven't perfected like the point here thing. Where is this? Where's the camera?
Oh, we'll get there.
Well, yeah, we got to get there. I'm just used to saying it on podcasts. You got to point anywhere. So with that, don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you download your podcasts. And if you're one of our fantastic Apple Podcast users, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you're feeling spicy, leave a review.
Make sure you follow us on social at Two Jabronis Pod on Instagram and on Twitter. Follow us at Two Jabronis Pod in the BR app. Follow us and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube at Two Jabronis Podcast with a podcast. Follow me personally at Jeremy A. Loss on Twitter, and you can follow Ben at Cruise Control on Twitter. That's control with a K.
We're expanding. A lot of stuff to follow us on, but just keep up. We're gonna keep it rolling.
At least it's all the same name, and it's not like super long. Like doesn't matter which podcast it's called.
Yeah, still love that though. Still love it.
Yeah.
Love that name. Thanks so much to Dave DuFour for joining us on today's show. And I think we're gonna start dabbling into some more guests. We can take advantage of this Zoom technology because everyone's just kind of sitting at home.
Nobody has things to do, so like we'll do more guests. We might do some watch-alongs, like some old WrestleManias or old pay-per-views. So I mean, there's going to be some cool content coming.
We'll do that. All right, everyone, don't be a jabroni. Keep staying home. Keep washing your hands, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Stay safe, everybody.